Thank you for joining me today for the Forum on Women's Perspectives. I'll just opening by saying I'm Timmins, your president of Memorial University. I'm going to still use your new president, Memorial University. My preferred pronoun is she, her, and hers. I want to acknowledge that the lands in which Memorial University campuses are situated in the traditional territories of diverse Indigenous groups, and we acknowledge with respect the histories and cultures of the Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, the Innu, and the Inuit of this absolutely beautiful province. Now we have about 60 people on, and people are coming up on fast and furious. So just before I start, I think if it's all right, we're going to wait maybe 1 minute. Would that be okay, Megan? Before I start with my opening comments?
Sure, absolutely. Maybe while we're waiting, I'll just introduce myself and get that out of the way.
Absolutely, that'd be great, Megan.
So hi, everyone. My name is Megan Whalen. I'm the Acting Associate Director Communications in the Division of Marketing and Communications. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm going to be moderating the question and answer period that we'll be getting to after Dr. Timmons' remarks. And I'll also let you know that we are going to be doing a few polls. So if you're watching via YouTube, you won't be able to participate in the polls. If you want to go back into Brightspace and join the WebEx link in the course, you will be able to participate in that way. But either way, we're happy to have you here, and we welcome your feedback as we move through the hour.
Thank you, Megan. So I want to give a special welcome to the people who are on campus joining us from the Bruno Center. You know, space has been set up there so our employees, like our custodian staff who are working on campus, can join us for this event. And I want to take a minute to just acknowledge all of the people who've been working on campus since the beginning of the pandemic. And they have faced very significant, maybe different, but significant challenges, different than us who have been working remotely. I want to thank you for your ongoing commitment to keep our campuses safe and healthy. And I've had the privilege of meeting a few of you, and you've been very generous and giving me your thoughts and ideas, and you've been very kind and welcoming to me personally. So thank you for that. And we're going to chat a little bit more about some concerns you have raised later, right, Megan? Okay, I appreciate all of you taking the time to be here today. You know, it's not easy. We're over a year into this pandemic, and it's challenging to find time to focus on anything other than the task at hand, be that your work, you're studying for exams, or managing family responsibilities. You know, it's important that we take moments like this. In December, I chatted with you about the shadow pandemic. That's the issues that are impacting women and how that has worsened because of COVID-19. Domestic violence, economic instability, the burden of unpaid care. Such important and significant challenges that we've all faced. And then we talked specifically about what our community is facing, the childcare access, the maintaining work-life balance, preserving our mental health. And in these rainy days lately, I'll tell you, I have found, I've been a little bit gloomy. I suspect you have too, but walking to work today, I'll tell you, I had a little bit of a spring in my step when I was walking because I could see the blue skies. So my goal this morning is to continue a conversation with all of you. I want to hear about what's important to you. I want to hear about the challenges you're facing. I want to hear about your ideas on how to make Memorial better. And we have our new strategic plan going to Senate for endorsement at the end of the month. I hope you had a chance to look at it. I'm excited about that plan. I can see that we'll have lots of things to work on together as we move Memorial forward. But before I turn it over to Megan to start question and answering with you, I want to chat with you about some personal things. I am not going to know what all of you went through. And today I mentioned last time, I'm a fixer. I find these actually really challenging because I can't fix anything for you. But I really want to hear from you. And I want to tell you that I haven't seen my daughter Nancy since last October. That's like a year ago, October. And my two grandchildren, Kiara and Logan. So it's now been over a year and a half since I've seen them in person. I haven't hardly seen my 87-year-old mother who lives all alone in Nova Scotia. And I worry so much about how this loneliness must be for her, not being able to see any of her 5 kids or any of her grandkids. I talk to as much as I can, and I worry that her cognitive ability is actually being affected because of the lack of interaction with people, because she's all by herself in her own home. And I have 4 grandchildren, and I got a brand new granddaughter in January, Simone, a little redheaded granddaughter. And I ache sometimes, physically ache, to hold her and to see her and her sister, who is going to be turning 2 in May, who I haven't seen since she was just about 7 months old, I guess. So I know how this is impacting me. So I know you all have those stories. You all have situations just like mine, and many of you have more challenging ones. And I want to tell you that today, it's not going to be a fixed day, but it's a day I truly will listen. And if there's anything that I'm able to do, I will work with you to do it. So Megan, I'm going to turn this over to you. We did get some from you. We got some email questions, and I'm hoping that people will, can they come on to ask questions, Megan? And we're hoping some of you will come on the screen, and others you can, Megan, you tell them. I'm taking your job from you, which I always do. I always do.
Thank you, Dr. Timmons. So like Dr. Timmons said, you can come on screen and we'd love to hear from you that way. It's pretty easy to do. You can just let me know using the Q&A function that you'll see there on the right of your screen that you'd like to come up. And then when time permits, Darcy will help us change your status to be a speaker. And then you'll be able to turn on your video and your audio, and we'll be able to have some more interaction. We will ask you to try and keep those a little bit short if you're able to do so, just so that we can hear from as many people as possible. One of the challenges we always have in these events is getting through all of the great comments and questions that we have. We do have some via email, and of course you can use that Q&A function to submit a question. WebEx, I think, knew how small their character limit used to be, so it's been increased to 512 characters, so you can get a little bit longer in there, but please don't break your message up over 2 different or 3 different messages, because when multiple ones are coming in, that just gets very confusing for me to be able to read out to you. We also have a few polls that we'll be launching in just a few minutes, but I just want to just be clear on a few of our ground rules for today, that we're not going to be able to answer any questions that are about disciplinary issues or legal matters or HR matters. And we want to ask you not to ask any questions that might infringe on someone else's privacy or that are very specific to a personal situation. We're taping this session today so that we can share it with folks who weren't able to be with us. So when I read out questions, I'm going to use the first name of the person who submitted it, but if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can do so. You can just put anonymous in brackets at the start of your comment and I won't read out your name. And someone asked that question. So yes, we can absolutely be anonymous today. And we are going to launch a quick poll to give us a sense of who's in the room with us today. So Darcy, can you launch the first question for us? And again, you don't have to answer any of these poll questions. It's really just because we're not in the same room, we can't do a show of hands. And this is just a way to help us see who's in the room with us and trying to make it a little bit more interactive for folks who might not want to ask questions. So I'll just give Darcy a second to get that poll going. And when it does come up, you'll have about 30 seconds to answer, and then we'll be able to see the aggregate results on screen. So this question is just trying to figure out who's in the room with us. So you can answer undergraduate student, graduate student, a faculty member or instructor, a staff member, or a leader such as a dean or director. And so once that's submitted, it'll take a few seconds for it to come back to Darcy. And I know sometimes it's hard to find one answer. Some people are doing courses as they study or are working on campus, but just choose one that works for you. And then once the poll has ended, which I think it has, it just takes a few minutes for it to populate through the system. And I'm seeing that we have mainly staff members here with us today, 1 graduate student. We have a handful of faculty members, 6 out of 82. And we have 10 of our leaders with us today and about 17 folks who didn't answer. And of course, this doesn't include folks like those in the Bruno Center who are joining us as a group. Hey, everyone over there. So Darcy, can you launch our second poll question? And in this one, we're really just looking to see how everyone is doing. And Dr. Timmons mentioned that today was a good day because she finally saw some blue sky. So your options here are happy face emoji. Option A, I'm good. B is kind of meh, I'm okay. And C is a sad emoji, I'm struggling. And it's okay to be struggling. We've all had those days as we've gone through there. Dr. Timmons said that she has before in some of these sessions, and I know I have as well. I think like Dr. Timmons, I'd say today is a good day for me. Again, saw the blue sky. I'm here on campus, which is nice and quiet. There's not a 3-year-old with me, which makes life a bit easier. And we're seeing that 21 folks said that they're doing good. 34 gave the meh, I'm okay answer, and 11 out of 82 said that they're struggling. No answer from 16. What do you think about that?
I can really relate, in particular to the 11 of you that are struggling. I've had those days, Megan's had those days. The challenge is trying to find ways to get support when you need it, right? It's and there's support out there. So I mean, what you have to decide if it's just I'm struggling and it's going to be an interim piece, or is this going to be long term for me? Do I need to get some support? So Megan, we had some questions that came in on virtually, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to do some email questions now. No questions or comments have come in the Q&A yet. I will encourage you if you have a question to get it in early. What I see sometimes,
or a comment. If you want to come online and just, even share what's going on with you.
Absolutely. And just don't wait till the last 5 minutes, because that's when we have a little bit of a backlog and it's tough to get through. So get it in early. So the first question or comment came in by email from Renee. It's about childcare. And she says, for me, safe and reliable childcare has been one of the biggest struggles and stressors while working from home during the pandemic. She works in a part-time position, and while working from home, she's juggled caring for her young children while simultaneously completing job tasks. And that includes working outside of normal hours or availing of leave. She said the situation is not ideal and quite challenging at times, but thankfully manageable due to the flexibility afforded to her by her supervisor. She said, our largest barrier is finding reliable and affordable child care, as there is very few regulated centers which offer care for under 2. One's own child care center doesn't even take children until they are 2 years of age. At present, my greatest fear and source of stress is that the flexibility I've so graciously been afforded thus far will end once staff are directed to return to campus. My supervisor is more than willing to continue to support me as we struggle to secure care. However, we're wondering if there are any formal accommodations that can be made in the short term to allow myself and others in this situation to continue working from home fully or in a hybrid model until we are able to secure under 2 childcare space.
So great question. So we thought we'd get everybody back in early February, and 5 days later, everyone went back home, and it was a real challenging time. We are not going to ask all of you to come back at this point, so we'll give you some ease time. Probably the summer, plan for your childcare supports for the fall if you can find them. So we are going to give you some grace time there, and we'll do our best to support you in your individual situations. So I know the question is, will we all have to come back next week? No, you will not. If you're working remotely and things are working well, then plan to ease back maybe in August and September, unless you've made separate arrangements with your supervisor. We are aware that things are challenging, and this flipping back and forth causes way more anxiety for everyone. And we want to minimize that as much as possible, but we will have the students, majority of them back in September, and we will need to be able to provide on-campus services for them. Megan, any other comments? You put a memo out last week, didn't you, that you may want to share with everybody or highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So much like Dr. Timmons said, we shared an update in the Gazette last week and shared it via Newsline that essentially said that it's looking like coming back in the summer for most staff, but that there are operational requirements that folks might have to be back earlier. I know that the core science facility is really coming along, planning to open in September, and there's work to do to move folks from one space to another. So there might be some folks who will have to come back in. I'm on campus now for I guess equity reasons. Like I said, I have a 3-year-old at home, and so it's easier for me to be here. And when he's in daycare on campus, it's easier to just drive to campus once. And it does feel very safe and clean, but also very empty here right now. But speaking about that, we're going to move over to a few questions that came in from facilities management staff. So Darcy, can you get Ann Brown on screen? Ann is the Associate Vice President of Facilities. And as we know, since their comments and questions are pretty specific, I think Anne will be able to help us answer those a little bit more specifically. And they wrote to say that women are, here she is. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Yes, thank you. And it is a nice bright day, which helps.
So the first question that we had in the email to us were staff expressing concerns that their questions about health and safety were not being answered by medical professionals. It made them feel that their safety concerns were being dismissed. Can you comment on that?
Absolutely. Thanks, Megan. And hello, everyone. And I'm so happy we've got so many people over at Bruno this morning. So thanks. We take safety so seriously, and those of my team that know me personally know how important that is to me. It's just something that we have to do at all times. Our staff are our assets, and it's really important to us. We never want our employees to feel that they're being dismissed, that their concerns aren't being listened to, because they certainly are. We have had many people help us with the answers. We had received a lot of questions via the union executive over to management, and we worked with the union executive on those. And it was concerned that, who's actually answering these questions. They have been people with master's, doctoral degrees, experts in occupational health and safety, and hygiene and biosafety. For example, even in Eastern Health, the PPE medical requirements were established through their environmental health and safety departments over there, not medical professionals. Our practices align within Eastern Health and what they're doing, and we are in many cases exceeding what we need to do, and that's a really important thing for me. We have now created a series of videos. I've actually been working directly with Danielle Brown, who's one of our plumbers, who, as you know, has done our videos and working with the apprenticeship program. And Danielle and I have been very, very connected during this. It was escalated to me. I have been working with Danielle. We did a video right away. We talked about gloves. We talked about masks, how putting them on right and doing it correctly. So we have videos done for that. The tie back video, which is a really important one for us, which is the tie back suits that our people have to wear, the right way of getting them off after exposure. So that video is actually coming out. If it didn't go out Friday night, it's going out this morning. And it's a really good one as well. And it's one that we work with the HNS on to do directly.
Thank you. The next question were staff expressing concern about various incidents that have taken place on campus, including not being made aware that there were international students isolating on campus or not being made aware of positive cases on campus, as well as when isolating people have broken isolation protocol. Can you answer that, Ms. Brown?
Absolutely. I really want to clarify, first of all, that there's been no cases of people breaking isolation protocol whatsoever, and that was a big issue. It was a very unfortunate rumor. As soon as we heard that, we were all over to ensure we did investigations right away, working with the OCRO office, working with the HNS, and internally as well. But for those who aren't aware, Memorial is hosting a provincial isolation center so that students from outside the province can actually come here and have a place to isolate and be safe while they're here with us as well. There are very, very stringent protocols in place for all of this. And it's there to protect the students and our staff and anyone else who's on the campus at that time. All plans have been approved by Public Health and the Public Health Agency of Canada and the Provincial Department of Health as well. We work very, very closely with them to ensure that. In fact, our standards in that facility are over and above all the standards that are actually being asked of. And we tend to do that on a general basis at Memorial. It's something we're really, really good about. We did receive reports that there were people who thought someone had been isolating and had left the quarantine. They actually had not. These incidents were taken seriously, and my goodness, the investigations that were coming across my office were really, really important, and we worked together on that. So it had proven that no one had broken the isolation, and it would have been reported to RNC if it had been, and it would have been dealt as a police matter. And I want to make that very clear, because that's then beyond us. That's a different issue altogether. And it's all about making our employees, about making them safe and ensuring that they're okay. With reference up to making people aware of positive cases, we can't do that in the sense that there's privacy requirements, and they don't allow us to talk about specific details or identify people who have those at any given time. We just can't do that. I know it's challenging. I know how hard it is. Our team have been here from the beginning. We've never gone home, and we've all been working really serious times and hours, and everyone is tired. I'm finding that we really have to be sensitive to that. And it's the custodial work, always because of the work that they're doing and the maintenance workers. That's extra concern for us because they are all over campus and they are exposed to anything and everything that's there. So we're really doing everything we can to create a safe and secure environment for them. It's the rumors and the misinformation that gets out there, and that's the problem. And I have encouraged everyone, if there's an issue, come to me, come to the chief risk officer, let us know that you're concerned, and we are looking into everything right away.
And the comment you made, people are tired. I think that is such a true comment.
Yeah.
And people are anxious for spring to come, but there is a fatigue. I call it my COVID fatigue. That's what I call it. We just kind of, my husband calls it Groundhog Day every day, because you can't see people, you can't socialize. It's a really closed world you end up being in. Yeah.
The final question that came in that email from Mrs. Brown was about vaccines. Will maintenance workers who have been present on campus receive the vaccine before those who have been working from home, and will Memorial push that issue for us?
That's a great question. I get asked that every day, and everybody keeps coming to me saying, "Do you have yours? Have you done that?" And I'm not in the age group yet, and we're all hoping that comes very soon. The current public guidelines say that workers who've been on site and on alert level 5, and those who involve jobs involve public interaction can receive a vaccine under phase 2 of the provincial plan. We have made a submission, just so you know. I've sat down with my directors, every one of them. We sat in a room and said, who are our frontline people? And of course, it's the custodians, it's the trades, it's even a few of my office staff that are seeing people at different points in time. So we have made this submission to the government advocating for vaccines earlier for these people in phase 2 for all of the workers that need to have this. It's a public health decision, and it's largely outside of Memorial's control, unfortunately. But we have brought it forward. And I really, at this point, I want to thank the facilities management employees, as well as not just our frontline people and our staff. They have been working very long, hard hours trying to field all the questions and the concerns. And right now, empathy is something that is so important, and being nice. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just feel, I just can't do this today. And we all feel that way. So I think that's really important. But I'd like to really thank the entire FM team and all those on campus and the risk people as well who've been working with us. And as you know, we're going to be having our own forum with Dr. Timmins. We're really excited about it on May the 7th for the FM group. And I really want everyone to participate and be there. And those specific questions that are for FM only, it would be a great time for us to try and address those at that point as well. And everyone really cares. And I have to say that Megan, Dr. Timmins, Kent Decker, our entire management team have been so supportive to me as well, that we're in this together, and we're going to get through it.
Yeah, thank you. And vaccine. Everyone get your vaccine. I'm going to encourage you and to get it if the opening comes, and you really have to rub it in that you weren't of the age, because I ended up getting mine last week because my age group opened up, but I'm not going to share that my age group with you. But it's important to get the vaccine. And thank you to the amazing women who came to my office and asked for a meeting. They asked actually for a meeting with just the custodians, but in talking to Anne, we thought we'd broaden it to facilities management. And see, I heard you, and I'm following up. I did get a tweet. I will mention this because I think it's important. I got a tweet saying that someone is not going to donate to Memorial University until we have a, let me read it to you so you hear what it says. It says, when's a forum for men's perspectives? I can't wait to participate. I'll hold off on my donation to the university this year until we have a men's forum. We're not going to have a men's forum. COVID has impacted women in a dramatic way. It's also impacted men, but we have town hall meetings, and we're going to have facilities meetings that can address concerns from our male colleagues. But this is really important to say that, I want a place where you have a voice as women and can speak to issues you're facing. And you will find that will be part of my role as your university president. I take the role of being the first woman president. Seriously, I feel there's a responsibility with that. And one of them is to listen to women's voices. And so I will try my best always to provide you safe places to chat with me. And so the colleague who texted me, I just want to let you know there's not going to be just a pure male forum.
Absolutely. I have a question or a comment that came in from some more custodial staff. So I'm going to read that next while Anne is still on screen with us. But I will also say that Amy just shared some information that there are new appointments available for 55 plus for AstraZeneca. So if you go to easternhealth.ca/news, you'll get all the details on how to sign up for your vaccine there. So the email.
That's good news. That's good news.
That's great news.
But don't go fill it up now. Stay for the rest of the hour so that we can have this conversation. So this person wrote to say, we definitely agree that women do feel more anxious than men, especially in the workforce and especially during these unprecedented times. We're aware that the office staff fear returning, not knowing what awaits them, but we want to ensure you, as custodians, we're doing everything possible to ensure your environment is being made as safe as possible. We are following all the protocols. As custodians, we are subjected many days to the rudeness of some office staff, and I'm sure this is a surprise to many, but yes, we have stories. To some, we are just cleaners, and that's okay, but even cleaners deserve respect. While to others, we are very important. And for the most part, we do have a great rapport with the staff. With COVID, we do find some staff to be more rude. We understand it's due to fear, the unknowing, but we feel the same. And if anything, we feel more scared because we're the ones cleaning the bathrooms after you, taking out your garbage, etc. So there's more to the message, but Dr. Timmins, do you want to respond to that point first?
So I mentioned part of my focus as a woman president is to provide safe places for women, but there's something else that is so important to me, and that's civility. And I can't tell you that. I'll tell you how I'll deal with it. I have zero tolerance for incivility. We're educated people. This is a university. It's a place where we should disagree. We should have different opinions. We should challenge each other's views, but we should always do it respectfully and calmly. And as a woman, I've had men raise their voice to me, point their fingers at me, and I because of my position, I'm able to say now, don't speak to me like that. I'll speak to you always respectfully, and that's my expectation, is that that's how I'll be spoken to. So to every woman on this call, I will tell you that I will, again, stand up and speak out if you experience rudeness and inappropriate behavior. We have to help others see that impact on us. And when a man raises his voice to me, my stomach turns, I'll tell you. I get quite anxious, and I'm always surprised at how strong my physical reaction is. So, sometimes you can have people that are just rude, but then you can have people that, raise their voice, point the finger. It's all unacceptable. It's all unacceptable. We can speak to each other kindly and gently, and at the same time disagree. So I'm going to be encouraging civility on campus. It's important to me, and it should be important to all of us. Now, I'm not seeing many questions and answers coming up on our screen. Megan, do you see many?
No, there's only a few in there, and I do just have a few left by email. So folks, feel free to let us know if you want to come on screen, or if you do have a question, feel free to submit it for us. We still have a half hour left together today. So the rest of that person, yes, Anne.
If I may just add, Anne, thank you so much for that comment. That is a very important and very strong statement that you've made, because it's a very difficult role sometimes for everyone, not just the custodians, but certainly that aspect of things. And I too have zero tolerance for that. And as a woman in real estate and construction for 35 years, I've seen a little bit of it. And
I've seen a lot of it, and I
Yes,
know you've seen a lot of it.
I have, and it's so unfortunate. My team knows that we have an open door policy, and our managers, we keep hounding this with them. If there's an issue, please let us know. Let us deal with it. Don't tolerate that, because that's just not on, and it's certainly not on in the university environment. So thank you for your support.
That comment went on to make some suggestions around how they might feel more secure when office staff are around, such as in offices that have multiple cubicles, just have one large garbage can by the door so that staff just have to take one out. That allows for less contact. And they also really like when there's offices that they have access to get things tidied up before the staff enters, which makes them feel more secure. And they feel that employees probably appreciate coming back into that clean space, but some they can't enter until office staff are in. Perhaps during this time of COVID, they could have access. And did you want to comment on those suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great. And we are actually working with Kent Budden, who heads up custodian, the whole custodian area, to see what else we can do, because we've been doing that ourselves, having, one area so that they're not having to go into a lot of different places. And we will work with the faculties as well. Are there areas where we can have an office unlocked, or will they allow us to in a private space? And we welcome any and all suggestions people have to make it easier for us and for them. Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Darcy, you can change Anne's status now. She can come off screen, and then certainly if anything else comes up, we'll pop you back up with us.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the next question, oh, sorry, Dr. Timmons, you're going to say
I
something?
was just saying Erika's question. Is that the one you were going to go to?
No, but I can if you'd like me to.
Well, it's a great question, Erika. I don't have an answer to that. What's the gender breakdown of people who've taken leave during the pandemic, and what about unpaid leave? There have been very few people who've taken unpaid leave that I know of, but I will definitely I will ask for that information. I think it's really important to know. So thank you. I'll follow up.
And if any of our colleagues from HR are joining us and have that information, want to pop it into the Q&A, we'll be able to share it right here. But if not, we'll track it down. So the next question came in from Kelly, and she thanked us for hosting, Dr. Timmons, for hosting today's event. She said, based on my own personal experiences and those of my friends and colleagues, the last year has been challenging for a variety of different reasons, but our MUN community is resilient, and the women I have the privilege to work with every day have been an incredible support for me as I balance work and family. My question is around how we can bring our incredibly talented female colleagues across Memorial together to support and mentor each other. I'm involved with a number of great initiatives focused on supporting women in STEM, ocean tech, etc. With MUN's enhanced focus on EDI, are there any plans underway for Memorial to lead pan-institutional initiative to provide a forum for women across disciplines, sectors, career stages, etc., to connect and support each other? There may be an opportunity for MUN to play a leadership role in this space.
So I have a partial answer to that. We're hiring a new VP, AVP Provost, who will be focused on EDI, and that person, he, she, or they definitely will be looking at initiatives. The other thing is I will be initiating a one-day forum for women in leadership that will be open to the community and the Memorial community. And we'll be looking at launching the first one hopefully next year in March. So that will be a chance for women to come together and to learn together and to learn about women's leadership. Now, this won't be exclusively to women, because women's leadership is not just a women's issue. I want many of our male colleagues to attend also to learn about women's leadership. So that will be happening next March. I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of events that may be coming as we move forward. I can't wait till the pandemic opens up and we look at having some creative activities that are happening on campus. So that's my answer.
Thank you. There was we talked about vaccines for staff who've been working on campus, but would that include employees in student health or the bookstore, other areas aside facilities?
Well, right now we don't have vaccines that are dedicated to people on campus. I know that Anne said she did a proposal, so we'll make sure that we'll double check with Anne to see if we can include all of our essential staff that are here. The other thing, Megan, we got a wonderful email. I don't know if she would like her name shared, but it's someone who couldn't make our meeting today, but she thought she'd share a few really neat things with us. And she gave us about 7 things. Maybe during the next 20 minutes, we can read one of them. I'll read one, you can read one, to kind of share. These are suggestions that have worked for her. So she has said, here's a page from our book. Increasing gratitude, to realize the gifts we have, friends, positive thoughts, health so far, beautiful family, fur babies. I have 2. Without question, they have helped me through COVID so much, and that ability to address what's next in a sunny day. So I know that these are tough times, but there are opportunities to have gratitude. And sometimes I will tell you, when I'm really feeling down, if I take my dogs for a walk, I have to consciously think about gratitude. And that sounds crazy because I have so much to be grateful for, but I have to do that to help get me out of a funk. So that's a great suggestion.
Great. Erika was questioning if there's any movement towards under 2 childcare for Memorial Childcare Center.
Yeah, I did speak to the Child Care Center about that, and it's definitely something they're having discussions about, Erika. I did, after the last forum, I did pose that question to them.
Great. Next comment came in anonymously, and this person said 100,000 women have left the workforce since the start of COVID from a CBC article. Happy we are having a focused conversation on this, and so lucky to be a part of the memorial community, especially in these times. Supporting each other is so important.
So I've heard different stats, but one of the stats is that 10 times the amount of women have left the workforce than men. And the last one I had was actually a third. So I'm not sure, but we know for a fact that the number is dramatic and it's a lot more. And that's part of why we bring women together, because without a doubt, every study has shown the impact on women has been more significant. The other thing is I'm part of a project called Prosperity Project, and they have a new report called the Zero Report, if anybody wants to read it, that talks about actually talks about us almost going back to zero again and having to rebuild a lot of women's rights that the pandemic may have challenged. So it's a good report if you get a chance to find it or read up about the Prosperity Project.
We had someone volunteer to help coordinate that forum, so I'm going to take that name down, and if anyone else wants to put their name in the Q&A, I can take all those down so we can see what that help might look like down the road. Next person, Pauline, said, not a question, but just a comment. I was working on a hybrid situation and was on campus last week. On Friday, I actually got to interact safely with a staff member from ITS, several from FM, and it was all caps, so wonderful to see people and hear laughter in the hallway of our department again. I miss everyone.
Oh, when I run into somebody, I think I scare them because I go, hello, hello. I want to know everything about them because I'm seeing someone in person. And Stuart, my husband and I, we don't have family here. We have our daughter with us, but our little bubble is a little bubble. So I can relate to that, Pauline.
Anne Marie has a comment. She said, as women, we tend to try to do it all when working from home and on campus. We need to remember to take breaks without feeling guilty and make sure we're taking care of ourselves.
Thank you. You're right.
And Shawna said, just wondering when we might have guidance on what our return to work will look like. Will offices have capacity limits? I spend the majority of my time meeting one-on-one with students in my office when we are on campus at peak times. That's upwards of 15 or 20 individual meetings a day. Will there be guidance on these matters? And does a return to campus mean a return to face-to-face meetings?
There will be face-to-face meetings when we return to campus for sure, but there'll also be remote meetings. So we will be providing guidance for those situations, Shawna. So thank you for that question. I don't have it now. They're now working towards all of the protocols that will be put in place in the fall when we return to campus. So thank you.
Okay. I'm going to read out another one of those tips that came in earlier via email. And Debbie suggested being in the now, experiencing life, taking walks and enjoying the ocean air and the beautiful scenery we are so fortunate to have. Also taking on a home project like painting, gardening, refinishing a piece of furniture.
Culling my clothes. That's something I've got to do. It's cull. I have to cull stuff, even though I just moved here a year ago.
I think sometimes it's easier once you move to realize, geez, I didn't ever need that. I shouldn't have packed it in a box. Christine said, has there been any consideration given to offering a hybrid approach to working from the office and working from home once operations are back to normal in the fall? Research has been showing that this is something that will be a recruitment consideration in the future. It also allows women in particular to balance work and home life in the long term.
So you know that we're looking at pilot projects that allow people to work from home. And I was just, I think on Friday night or Thursday night, I went in on a presentation, like a webinar on the work in the future. And I have the slides on that. And that I sent all the slides to our VPs because I think there is a real, we have to plan for a very different work life as we go forward. But recognizing that there are benefits on face-to-face conversations in the hallway, ideas, where you have collision space. So we will be looking at all of this as we go forward. I think every organization is going to be. I'm going to read one more of Debbie's thoughts because this is something I didn't do before. She says, make tea a ritual. Debbie's taken to drinking green tea and taking a quiet moment to herself once a day. 15 minutes for me, less stress, and I find peace. That's an idea. Tea or coffee or Why?
Maybe not in the middle of the workday,
Not
but
in the middle of
yes.
the workday, no, in the evening. Yeah.
We've some folks have gotten together and done little 15-minute chair yoga breaks, which is a good chance to really quiet your mind, move your body a little bit, because I find sometimes you really just stay stuck on a computer screen all day these days. And it's been really helpful physically and mentally to just, but you really got to turn off the volume on your phone and turn off your mail alerts and everything else. Otherwise it sucks you right out again.
Yeah, I have a massage this week because my shoulders, I think from always being in front of the screen, I'm having such shoulder pain. And so, you know, all of those things are important to recognize and work on. And it affects us mentally, affects us physically, affects us emotionally, right?
So some people have chimed in to say that they'd like to volunteer to help with the forum. So thank you for that. And Mika had a question. They said, for the women who have been able to maintain employment, one of the challenges to navigating COVID and our ongoing response is job insecurity, I should say. MUN staff are increasingly on short-term contracts, and this contributes to a sense of insecurity, even when employed. What might be done to invest in more permanent positions, especially ones that are filled by women?
So this is an issue, a really big issue. And it's also not a COVID issue, it's a budget issue and how we move forward. And I have no prediction on how our budgets are going to look in the future. I'm doing my best to advocate and work on government relations. We know we're going to get a budget in June. So much of that is bound in so many different things. I'm going to be meeting with the minister regularly. I see our minister as our advocate, and I want to give him the information. I just got a note that said that provincially we have actually, our efficiencies have really shown up that we now spend less than $2,000 less per student to educate than we did 6 years ago because of efficiencies. That's a pretty significant number. So as our budgets have been going down, our numbers have going up, we have found the ability and efficiencies. But there's a point where we need to say to government, okay, where we are now is kind of the baseline. We need to start rebuilding. And with our numbers going up and you know that we haven't been hiring through attrition, we have been losing staff and faculty, and we can see that by looking just at how many people are in our pension plans. So we're working closely with government. I'm as nervous as you are about the post-secondary review, the Moya Green report, but you know, we have our strategies in place to work with government as we go forward. And that's a real priority for me over the next few years, is to be a partner with government and not be in an adversarial position, but at the same time advocate strongly for Memorial.
Thank you. We're not seeing many more questions come in, actually. So if there is something that you wanted to ask, please feel free to do so. This one comes from Nora. She says, Dr. Timmins is a real inspiration. This forum is great, but fairly impersonal, and presumably the Women in Leadership Forum next spring will be for senior leaders. Any plans post-pandemic for meetings or smaller forums for women at the lower end of the leadership ladder?
So it's not going to be for senior leaders. It's going to be for women who aspire to be leaders, and most women are leaders. So it's for women, period. I'm hoping to bring in some students also. So it is not, it's about being invigorated, inspired, and motivated as a woman in a workplace. So Nora, I'm hoping you'll be there.
An anonymous question. I work in a mid-management role, and except for my direct supervisor, have little or no network for support. How can managers find support outside of their office when there are no networking opportunities? This has been harder and isolating since we are now working remotely with remote teams.
So whoever's posed this question, we've been having a discussion on setting up a leadership initiative here at Memorial. We haven't moved on it yet. But for that mid-manager leadership, where we bring people together, we provide professional development, networking opportunities for them to learn new skills. So leadership is really important to me and to this university. We used to have a program like that years ago here in Memorial, and then we did not. When I was in Regina, we had You Are Lead. It was a program. So I'm hoping that we can find one that will come and really deal with the challenging situation you're in, the mid-manager one.
Michelle said, with hopefully a return to better weather soon, I have suggested to my small team, who are all working remotely at the moment, that we meet on campus 1 day a week for a physically distanced outside walk if everyone is comfortable doing so. It's a chance to reconnect and would replace our regular online team meeting. They love the idea and asked if they can bring their dogs.
That's a great idea, Michelle. Great, I see. dear.
We did that in Markham
Did
for
you?
our Christmas activity, but we went through the botanical garden. They offer tours, so we went in a socially distanced way, and it was really nice. And we thought we'd do it as the seasons change, so we can see the botanical garden in different seasons.
Okay.
Erika said, when you say efficiencies, how much of that is on the backs of women? Many of our largest classes are taught by sessionals/contractuals, and they are likely to be women.
Yeah, I don't have that data either. And Erika, again, you prompted me to think about it. But I would say, some of those efficiencies are on the backs of women. So you're absolutely right. But now I'm going to take a look at the gender breakdown in terms of our sessional and contractual employees. Thank you.
For the comment we just had about challenging to find their network, Courtney said that 10,000 coffees is a great way to get to know various kinds of MUN community members. So thank you, Courtney, for that. Lori said, when we are all, staff and students, back on campus, will there be extended mental and physical health resources? The problems we've been dealing with and helping students deal with will still exist.
Right, we have no intention of cutting them back, for sure. And we'll have to monitor and see the demand to see if we have to increase them. Thank you, Lori. There's an anonymous one.
Yep. So this person said, human resource advisors have always provided me a great support and guidance, but more mentorship is needed on growth outside of that group. And another anonymous comment said, with the stressors currently on women, is there any indication of the number of women that have applied for promotion internally and have been successful in that process?
My understanding is that our provost has been watching this carefully because from early in COVID, we knew that for many women who have extra stresses on their lives with childcare and elder care, that there could be a challenge there. So I know we're monitoring that carefully. Again, I will check in with the provost on that. We're also talking about that nationally at the president's level about the impact, and we don't want to see a setback for women in promotion tenure. So we're hoping to monitor it nationally and keep our eye on it for sure. A very important point, by the way, and a great question.
I'm going to ask Darcy if he can launch our third poll question now, because we know that folks are managing a lot of things at once, wearing many different hats, and that sometimes that impacts us in the workplace. And again, all of these polls are voluntary, but this one is asking what you're managing in addition to your work responsibilities. And in this question, you can check all that apply. So the options are, I'm also managing elder care, school-age children, preschool children, living alone, and social isolation. And so it'll just take a few seconds for that to come through and we'll be able to see. I think I've mentioned 3 times already, preschool children is one of the things I'm managing, but also social isolation, because we're not really seeing people like we're used to. And it's hard, and it's particularly hard with small children to really manage all of those things and not having the networks like you usually do. So the types of answers that we see in the response here, we have 15 folks who are managing elder care, 21 out of 84 managing school-age children, 6 out of 84 preschool children, 10 out of 84 living alone, and 19 out of 84 social isolation.
Yeah, lots of things happening. For me, it would elder care, even though it's remotely. For my mother, I'm the one that takes primary care of her, and definitely social isolation. So yeah.
And I'm just going to pop back over to the Q&A field to see if any more questions or comments have come in. And if there's something else you're managing, you could mention that in there too. Next comment comes from Mandy, who said, further to a previous comment, as someone who has navigated accessing mental health services through employee benefits specifically, there are hurdles to accessing care. Is there a potential to review the benefits to help improve access to care? Small changes, such as allowing the full annual amount to be used towards therapy and allowing access to care from multiple types of registered practitioners, would make a world of difference for people trying to process and cope during and after COVID-19.
That's a great suggestion, Mandy. Can we cut and paste or take a picture of this comment and provide it to people who oversee our benefits?
Yep, absolutely.
I think that's a really important suggestion and a positive suggestion. Thank you, Mandy. Yeah.
We have a comment that was received via email to president@mon.ca. Thank you, Renee, for passing that over to us. This person said, I want to thank Dr. Timmons for hosting this forum. There are discussions that need to occur. The idea of civility to all who are on and off campus will help us get through this. I look forward to the Women's Leadership Forum you speak of next year. As a supervisor in a male-dominated area, I think a platform such as this could help broaden everyone's view on the issues we have here on campus. You have opened the door, and I thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And I wasn't joking about civility. To me, it's a passion of mine. And I've been at universities a long time, and I've seen and dealt with comments, interactions that have stressed me and bothered me. And when I was a young faculty member, I had nowhere to go often when those things happen. And so over the years, it's something that now that I'm president, I'm going to be clear that this campus will take civility seriously towards students, towards each other, and towards our community. And since I've been here, I want to be honest with you. I have received notes from people, students, and staff in the community who've given me incidents where they felt like they weren't treated with civility. And I'm going to keep working with you to making sure that anyone who interacts with Memorial University gets the best care and support and interaction that we can give them. That service piece is huge for us. I think that could be a distinguishing factor for us.
A person noted that the VP Admin dashboard has workforce sustainability statistics. It shows an interesting trend that 63.1% of contractual staff, not faculty, at Memorial are women. So
63, you're right, Erika. More women than men, 63%. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Kelly said an additional responsibility for some is adult family members with serious mental health challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we know mental health is increasing. I got the stats. I did a panel and I talked about our student stats for students seeking mental health on campus, and the number who are seeking them for anxiety levels is I think it's like 63%. And then we've had a real increase in students who've been asking for ADHD assessments because everything being done remotely in Zoom, they've struggled with attention span and stuff. So really, mental health issues are huge. And when you're supporting someone who has mental health challenges, and I know my husband went through a bout of severe depression, and I'll tell you, it almost destroyed my family. I'll be honest with you. Though it was a number of years ago, my children, I think, have lingering effects from that period of time because it was their formative years, and it was a tough time for us. Now, we survived it as a family, but I definitely would not want to go back to where I was then trying to manage that.
Cheryl said, leadership, coaching, and mentoring are very important, especially for women. In my previous career, we had a significant focus on this area, but there is little existing at Memorial currently, and I see this as a huge opportunity. Vianne has only been here for a year and has made huge impact and improved visibility of the president and women. I would love to assist in this initiative.
That's great. And that would be more the MUN leadership program, right, that I want to see us initiate. And remember, I've been here a year, but keep calling me your new president. I really like that title, new. Makes me feel young.
Andrea said the Works offers a wide selection of fitness activities, including virtual offerings. The HR Health Improvement Program is a great resource for employees. I appreciate that this town hall wasn't offered during a typical lunch hour so that I don't miss my fitness class at noon. And I will say that we chose this time to make it easier for folks in facilities or folks who are on shifts to kind of align with switch change times so more people could attend. Erika said, many of us deal with bullying in the workplace. Yes, I know there are procedures to report this, but it's very difficult and risky to document. Returning to work will be a real stressor. Can you make a clear policy, not individual manager discretion, around work from home options?
Yeah. And Erika, let's not call it returning to work because we're working. Return to campus. I want to make sure that we use that language because it's really important to recognize that everybody's working so hard. Make a clear policy around work from home options. I mentioned that we are looking and working on that, and I'm hearing it now from more than one person that we need to make sure we do that.
Shawna said the increase in student anxiety and mental health issues flows over to faculty and staff, and we are often one of their first points of support. We have to be prepared for an influx with the return to campus.
And it's interesting, I always hear from parents as a president. This year I've heard from parents more than I ever have, upset with how they're perceive their child has been dealt with by us. And so this year has been a stress for our parents of our students who have their kids at home studying when they normally would be on campus, who have or often are hearing their child when they're frustrated with an assignment or a program. So you're right. We will probably get and haven't get an increased concerns by parents. We still have to remember that if they're upset and they speak to us harshly, we can always still respond with civility. Yeah. Now we're getting close to the end here. Darcy, Megan, are we close to wrapping up?
Yeah, I'm just going to read this last 2 comments, and then I'm going to pass it back over to you for your last comments. And then at the very end, there's going to be a poll about how you found this session. So please don't leave until you've completed that. So one anonymous comment said, we're having this conversation amongst women, but I almost feel like, how do you bridge men into the conversation? I think for men to empathize with women, they need to hear some of this. And
I agree, Megan, I agree. But we still need a safe space for women to speak. And, it's hard to have both at times, right?
And Kelly gave some credit to the wellness coordinator, Rose Hatfield at MI, who has continued virtual fitness 3 times a week at lunchtime. So Dr. Timmons, I will pass it back over to you for your final comments. I know you have a video you want to share. So Darcy, if you want to do the video, and then we'll do the poll after the video.
I want to tell you, I decided to share with you a personal video. Darcy, hold for a second while I set the context. I'm missing very much my in-person connection with my children and grandchildren, but I get videos from them. And last year we got a new granddaughter, and this year, so Saoirse has 2 dads because my son is gay and she's adopted, and Saoirse's biracial, and I got permission to share this with you. So I'll get Darcy to play the video and I'll just speak to it. So this is Saoirse, and it's the first time she saw herself really in a mirror, and you can see her little face and how happy she is to see herself. And I thought it would be a great way to say, remember to take care of yourself, to look after yourself, and remember to be kind to yourself. And that is going to be important as we go forward, not just to be kind to others, but to be kind to yourself. And I don't know if you can see that Saoirse ends up kissing herself, as you see right there. And that's what I thought is a wonderful message, to be gentle and be kind to yourself. It's so important as we go forward and try to get through this really challenging time. There's Saoirse.
That's adorable.
And there she is, giving herself her first mirror kiss. Thank you, everybody. I love this video, and I love how much in it reflects how she loves herself. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your perspectives with me in a community. And remember, I said I can't fix everything, but I do want to hear, and maybe out of all of our conversations, there'll be things we can make better. Even just talking about it and highlighting awareness. And we have the last poll, right, Megan?
Absolutely. Yep. Darcy's going to set that up for us. And then if you have additional comments that you'd like to share, you can do that in the Q&A, or you can send them via email to me after this event, mcwhalen@mun.ca, or you could email them to president@mun.ca. We want to make sure that these events are good for you. And so we'll leave the WebEx open so that if folks do have some feedback that they want to share, they can do that. But I do realize that we're at the end of the hour. So thank you all so much for your time today.
Thank you, everyone. And please take care of yourselves.
And Darcy, I set that poll up wrong. I put a 3-minute time limit on it, and I wasn't supposed to do that. So you can shut that down whenever you're ready. And you can take Dr. Timmons and I out of this. But thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Have a great day, everybody. Do take a moment to enjoy this blue sky.